Reality never comes to us naked without a human system of meaning, without a worldview. I'm Warren, the rector here at St. Columba's. Glad you could join me for my message of the day. Every human life is an attempt to make sense, to make meaning of reality, what we experience, what we know has happened, what we can feel, see, think, all of these things, trying to put it together in the world, to understand. And every endeavour, whether it be science or religion or philosophy or anything, always carries with it a way of putting things together. And you can always ask the question, this is how worldviews can be refined, and you can change how you put the world together, because you can come to see that what you currently hold doesn't account for enough of reality, or it might not be rational enough. It doesn't make enough sense. This importance, this necessity of a human system of meaning, of a worldview, doesn't mean that therefore there is no truth or that anything goes. It just means that there is no access to reality, to truth, apart from the very human process of putting the stuff of life together in a certain way. An example, you think of the cross of Jesus. Now, the Romans, when they crucified him, just thought, oh, well, that's the end of the story. We won, we got rid of him. And yet, 2,000 years later, we're still interpreting the cross of Jesus and making all sorts of claims about it. We've put that reality, that event together with other ways of experiencing life and reality to come up with a different answer, a different worldview. And that worldview can be explored. The Christian worldview, which has at its heart the death and resurrection of Jesus, which once you start to understand it is quite a almost disturbing understanding of the cross. Once you start to look at it, you can come to understand it and see how it's been put together. It's hard to do this though from a distance. Christian faith is a way of living. You see, the worldview isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's a way of putting together your whole of your life and making sense of the whole. So of course, it's hard to understand the Christian faith and the way it puts together reality from a distance, because it's actually a totality. You have to be part of it really to understand it. Of course, you can look at it from a distance, you can read about it, and you can come to understand something of it. But it's impossible to know it without actually being part of it. And we learn how to be part of the Christian worldview, how to put together reality in such a way that the cross of Jesus is not a failure, but actually a victory, for instance. This is one of the reasons why much of atheism, when I read it, and its criticisms of religion generally, but usually it's about Christianity, I think what they're critiquing bears very little resemblance to Christianity, the Christianity that I have lived and studied and know about. That's because they're doing it from a distance, and they've cut off so much of what it's about to try and understand some, make it into more like an intellectual conundrum, as though, the world is so easy to understand, but these Christians have added in a whole lot of other stuff about God, which is actually unnecessary. If we could just cut that out, then you'd see reality as it is in its naked form. And that's not true. Everyone is putting together their view of the world. The question is what you're using and how you put it together, what you've left out, and what your worldview accounts for. Now, in the Christian worldview, attending the liturgy, the Sunday service, is absolutely crucial, as is prayer, as is reading scripture, etc., etc. But coming to the Sunday liturgy is absolutely crucial. It's more than just, and I've spoken about this before, it's more than just being a spectator to someone doing some theatrics up the front. It's actually a way that we learn the Christian worldview. We do it through prayer and through reading scripture, through singing, through action, by doing things together, etc., etc. And I've talked about that before, and we'll talk about it more in the future. But the liturgy is a way that we learn how to put our lives together into that worldview, and to learn how to see the world so that we can actually see the cross of Jesus not as a defeat, but as a victory. More of that to come later in this year. But thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.